Some kids taking their seats.
Use your elbow.
On myself, but
Over here.
what's that?
Yeah.
They said I'm standing here talking on the sofa. And a little flip-out screen on the side pointing down at me.
Late today because of the weather, but thank you all for being here. And I'm excited to be in Edinboro, and I'm excited to talk with all of you about what's important to you and your families and your friends as you think about who to support in this election.
Personally liked the Clinton years, thought they were good times and all that. I have nothing but respect for your mother. To be quite honest, if she gets elected president, that'd be great by me. But the biggest problem I see is electability. How will she be able to overcome the amount of resentment? There's an estimated 50% of voters that say they will not vote for her under any circumstances. Now, how does she overcome that in the general election?
Well, first, you said that there were some people who just were never going to like her or agree with her. Well, there are just some people who are never going to like or agree with us as Democrats. I wish that weren't true, but there are people holding signs out front today who are pro-life, and I absolutely respect that position, but they're probably never going to vote for a Democrat. And then there are people who are really concerned about very specific issues confronting our country right now, particularly the economy. I think a lot of Amerians feel like we are already in a recession, regardless of what the pundits say. And I think for people who are really worried about being able to stay in their homes, really worried about being able to provide health insurance for themselves and their families, my mother is the strongest candidate. It matters to me as a voter that last March, more than a year ago now, my mom was talking about the fact that we were going to have a housing crisis. But my mother does think we need to be doing a better job diplomatically of supporting Iraq while they're answering those questions. Well before this campaign began, my mom was pushing the Bush administration to reach out to the Iranians and to the Syrians. She doesn't think that the president should go to Tehran without preconditions, but she absolutely believes the United States should be working with the Iranians and the Syrians and everyone in the region to help support an environment that supports in turn a strong and stable and democratic Iraq. And my mother's committed to being a president who from day one will play the honest brokerage role that the United States has to play to help finally determine peace between Israel and the Palestinians. President Bush was in the Middle East earlier this year. It was his first trip to Israel as president. We haven't even talked to our friends that often. And so while he was there, he said that he and his administration would be spending more time in the region. And we saw the vice president in the region a couple weeks ago, but they are about 7 years too late. And we need a president for whom day one is a priority and who has a strong record of supporting Israel to ensure that we can bring Israel and the Palestinians to the table together. Because we know that until we have peace and security between Israel and the Palestinians, we'll never have peace or security in the Middle East or in the world. So I think that that'll really matter to people, that she doesn't just talk about bringing us together, but really has brought people together across the aisle in Congress in areas where there should never be partisanship. But I also do think we need a fighter right now in our country. We need someone to stand up and fight for things like universal health insurance. And for me, it matters that my mom is the only person who's still running for president who's really working for universal health insurance, and who certainly now for more than half my life has been fighting for universal health insurance. For the first time in our country's history, we now have a quorum of support from doctors and nurses and hospitals, from Americans of all ages, and increasingly from the business community that we need universal health insurance. And so I think that will really matter as well. So I think that her preparedness on the economy and her record of standing up for what we need to do for us near term, but also longer term.
Okay, everyone, on behalf of Ms. Chelsea coming into Edinboro University and showing her interest in coming to us and answering our questions, we want to present her with a sweatshirt from Edinboro.